soon that I'd got the grant, and I was jumping around screaming and shouting, and you know, it was a big deal for me, a really big deal. Hi, my name is Jess and I'm the founder of the Maker series, and I've decided to chat about my process so far, how the project that I'm doing is developing, and how I even got the funding in the beginning. So I applied to Arts Council funding, and I keep saying to myself, which is slightly putting myself down, is that I probably would not have got it without COVID happening. Because I'm a filmmaker, I find that most of the time when I go to the Arts Council about funding, they say no, because they don't fund film. Having said that, we are in a time where people are having to rely upon the internet, and film, even if it's live, is incredibly easy to use, and also you can connect to people without getting into the danger of passing or getting COVID. So the process, so I applied, it took me about 2-3 months to apply. I have dyslexia. It also, I think even if you don't have dyslexia, is incredibly difficult. I had a number of people that I know who have been through the process, so I made sure I asked them if they could help me in the way that I did it, and then they looked at it and gave me some feedback, and that was priceless. Like, I think half the thing about doing application forms isn't really knowing what the person is asking for. And I would find myself answering a section of the Arts Council, and then 2 days later looking at it back and thinking, that's not what they're asking. And so I went through this process quite a lot, and that's why it took me so long. I think it is trying to learn how to write things so that you can communicate your ideas. Luckily, this project was actually quite a simple idea. 24 podcasts, 12 masterclasses, all remote, so there's no difficulties there. So actually, it wasn't difficult to get the concept down. I think it was my language, the language I used, so that it could be picked up, read and understood. And I think that took me a long time to get my head around that. I found you have to keep to so many characters. That was really tough because they ask you quite big questions and you've got to keep within, 500 characters, 1,000 characters, that kind of thing. And that includes spaces. So that's the whole process of learning how to minimize the word. And I anagrammed the Maker series because to TMS, because I was just like, I can't lose that many characters. When it came to costing, I did a lot of research around what the national kind of wages for all sorts. I found it has really helped me in all sorts of ways that I wouldn't have even imagined. So I felt like the whole process was like a business plan, not a business plan that you can go to a bank for, but for a loan or whatever, but a business plan for me on the project. It really honed the project in. Things I found difficult, other than the characters and being able to communicate clearly, which is just a life thing rather than an arts application thing. The portal, just take your time over the portal. It can be a little glitchy. There is a saving process, which is good, but sometimes it didn't save the page I was on and it would crash. So I'd have to keep putting it in. But to be honest, you've got it on I had all my application on a Word document, and so I just have to copy and paste it all in again. I was really flummoxed by the end question, which was so painful for me because I'd spent months over it, planning and working out perfect thing. And then the last question, I was flummoxed by it, and there was I looked through all the guidelines and everything. There was nothing to explain it. And it was, how many days have you created in work for over your project? But it didn't explain what the day was, what meant what a day meant. Was it 7 hours, 8 hours, 24 hours? But I think I still got the funding, so maybe maybe I need to learn not to worry about the small stuff. But if there's an Arts Council person out there who could explain the last question, that would be amazing. Usually, from previous people I've spoken to, there's a helpline. This doesn't exist at the time I was doing my proposal. So it would take 2 or 3 days before anyone would get back to me. I fully appreciate that we're living in a really tricky time, and that's not me moaning. That's just me saying, be aware that the timings is slightly different at current. I don't know when that might change. It might have already changed back to a phone line, but emails, of course, are slower. If you don't get through the first time, and I've been told this many times, if you don't get through the first time, they should give you some feedback, and it could just simply be that they were inundated that session and you missed out because of that, and not even your application form. I didn't need to go through that process, and I'm very thankful for that. You're meant to get things at the right time. I don't think I would have got it at another time because it came at a moment where I had connections to partners that were really good. I had the knowledge from talking to people, so I had people around me that could support me through the process. The big thing was about connections, and also in a time where I didn't have to find match funding. So I still found in-kind support, but I didn't have to get match funding because of COVID. And these things all aligned, and it meant that I got it. So don't be disheartened if you don't get it. Get that feedback and try again. And it feels surreal to have got funding, to be honest, because the amount of rejection I get. I'm not saying that to put myself down, but I try a lot of things. I put myself out for a lot of things, and so you're going to get a lot of rejection, and then the odd bit that goes, yeah, we get it. So I think it is just keep on trying. Don't give up. If you really want to do it, never give up, So yeah, that was my Arts Council experience.